My sister called me crying at 3 in the morning, saying my grandmother had died. I dropped everything in Miami, caught the first flight to Brazil, arrived devastated at the funeral, and my grandmother was alive, hidden in a room at the back of the house. Before I could understand anything, they locked me in a room, stole my passport, phone, and documents, and put a pen in my hand. Sign, or we'll make sure you never leave Brazil again. My brother-in-law said, I was in shock. Without sleeping for 30 hours, unable to think straight, I signed without even reading properly. It was only 3 days later that I discovered what I had done. I transferred $890,000 in my grandmother's properties to my sister, but they didn't expect me to come back with an American lawyer. And then revenge was sweet. Let me go back a bit. My name is Marina. I'm 32 years old, and 8 years ago, I built a life in the United States. I started as an intern at a tech company in Miami, and with a lot of hard work, made it to senior manager. I earned well, very well. I was always the daughter who helped the family. I paid for my mother's medical treatments, sent money every month, even bought a car for my sister Renata when she needed it. Renata was always different from me. 5 years older, married to Diego, a guy who tried 5 different businesses and all of them failed. They were always asking me for loans. It's just until the business takes off, Murray, she'd say. I loaned $17,000 over the years. Never saw a cent back. But the worst part was her relationship with my mother. After Dad died 3 years ago, Mom was lost, and Renata took advantage of that. She lived 2 blocks from Mom, visited every day, controlled everything. Me, 5,000 miles away, became the daughter who abandoned the family. My grandmother Helena, on the other hand, was always my ally. She was 89 years old, owned 3 valuable properties in Sao Paulo, an apartment in Moema, a house in Vila Mariana, and a commercial lot, estimated value $1,200,000. She always said, when I die, I want you to have everything, Marina. You're the only one worth a damn. Renata knew that and hated it. That's when it all started. A call at 3 in the morning that would completely change my life. I was reviewing an important presentation when my phone rang. 3:17 a.m. in Miami, 5:17 a.m. in Sao Paulo. It was Renata, sobbing uncontrollably. Mari, it's Grandma. She had a heart attack. Didn't make it. She died, Mari. My world collapsed. I loved my grandmother. I started crying right there in the middle of the night. Renata continued, the funeral is tomorrow afternoon. Please come. Mom is destroyed. I can't handle this alone. I didn't think twice. I canceled meetings, requested emergency leave at work, paid $4,000 for a last-minute flight. 12 hours of travel, crying, unable to sleep, barely eating. I only thought about the last conversation I had with Grandma 3 weeks ago. Come visit me soon, my granddaughter. I miss you. I arrived in Sao Paulo at 11 in the morning, took an Uber straight to my mom's house where the funeral would be. My body was exhausted, but the pain was worse. When I entered, everything was prepared. Flowers, candles, people in black. My mother hugged me crying. Renata, too. Even Diego was there, serious, in a suit. Where's the casket? I asked, confused. In the back. Grandma requested an intimate funeral, just close family first, Renata explained, holding my hand. She led me to a room at the back of the house. The door was closed. Brace yourself, Mari, she said, squeezing my shoulder. I took a deep breath, and she opened the door, and my grandmother was sitting in an armchair, alive, looking at me with wide-opened, startled eyes. Grandma? I screamed. Before I could process anything, Diego came in behind me and locked the door. Click! The sound of the lock froze my blood. Sit down, Mari, he said, with a voice I'd never heard before, cold, calculating. What is going on? Grandma, are you okay? My grandma tried to speak, but was clearly terrified. Renata came in too, and now there were 3 people between me and the door. Calm down, Mari, she said, pulling my phone out of her purse. My passport too. My wallet. You stole my stuff? Give it back now. Diego placed a folder on the table. You're going to sign these documents. Transfer of ownership of Helena's 3 properties to Renata. My heart raced. Are you insane? I'm not signing anything. Yes, you are, he said, crossing his arms, because without a passport, you're not leaving the country. And we have friends in immigration who can make your life very difficult. Could take months for you to get a replacement. Your work visa expires in what, 40 days? Good luck explaining to your American company why you're stuck in Brazil. I looked at my mother, who had entered and was standing in the corner of the room staring at the floor. Mom, are you seeing this? Do something. She didn't look at me. She just whispered, Renata said it's best for everyone, Marina. Grandma is old, doesn't know what she's doing anymore, and you're far away. You don't need these properties. I felt nauseous. My own mother? Grandma, say something. I begged. My grandma, with a trembling voice, tried. I don't want. This isn't. You're senile, Mrs. Helena. Everyone knows it. I stood there, trapped, 30 hours without proper sleep, emotional, in shock. Diego put the pen in front of me. Sign or make your life very difficult. Your choice. My hands were shaking. I was too exhausted to fight. I couldn't think straight. I grabbed the pen and signed. 3 documents. Barely read them. I just wanted out of that room. Great. See how easy that was? Renata smiled, taking the papers. Now you can leave. Your phone and passport are at the entrance. I left that house like a zombie. I grabbed my things and went straight to a hotel. I slept 14 hours straight. When I woke up, reality hit me like a punch. I had signed the transfer of almost $1 million, $890,000 to be exact.
Immediately, I went to a notary office to check. Yes, the documents had already been registered. Properties transferred, everything legal on paper. I cried. I screamed in the hotel room. I felt like the stupidest person in the world. But then something changed. Sadness turned to anger. Pure anger. I called a lawyer friend in Miami, Marcus. I told him everything. He gave me Mark Richardson's contact, a specialist in fraud and international coercion. He said, if there's anyone who can reverse this, it's him. I called Mark the same day. He took the case immediately. He said, Marina, this is clear coercion, false pretense, deprivation of liberty, document theft. You have a very strong case, but you'll need proof. What kind of proof? First, your grandmother needs to testify that she didn't authorize anything. Second, we need to prove you were deceived and coerced. Third, your history of financial transfers to your family will help us show the pattern of abuse. I secretly returned to Brazil 2 weeks later. I visited my grandmother when Renata wasn't there. I recorded her testimony on video with a Brazilian lawyer present, confirming that she never authorized any transfer and that she was coerced to stay quiet. Mark hired investigators who discovered that Diego had 4 other victims of similar scams. 4. Cases dismissed because the victims gave up out of fear or shame. We gathered everything. Screenshots of my bank transfers to Renata, messages asking for money, the record of when they stole my passport. There were cameras at my mother's house entrance that I didn't know about, and Grandma's testimony. Mark filed a petition for annulment due to coercion in less than a month. The hearing was cinematic. Mark brought everything. The judge was visibly outraged when he saw the video of my grandmother, frail, explaining how she had been threatened. Renata and Diego tried to argue that I had signed of my own free will, until Mark dropped the final bomb, Diego's history of scams, including a 2019 case where he had done exactly the same thing to his ex-wife's mother. The judge had no doubt. He annulled the transfer on the spot. All properties returned to my grandmother, and he also ordered Renata and Diego to pay me $400,000 for moral, emotional damages and all the expenses I had. But the sweetest part? My mother, who was at the hearing, finally opened her eyes. She asked me for forgiveness, crying, saying that Renata had manipulated her for years. My grandmother changed her will the next day. Everything to me. with an irrevocable clause. Renata got 0. Diego ended up facing criminal charges for fraud. Today, 3 months later, I'm back in Miami. The properties are rented out, generating passive income. My grandmother is well, safe. And I learned family isn't who shares blood, it's who respects you. Renata blocked me on everything. I don't care. The best revenge wasn't the money, it was proving that underestimating my intelligence was the biggest mistake they ever made.